On today's episode of Parker's Reefs, I review Bill Morgan's AquaReef400, possibly one of Australia's best SPS tanks. Tell us about your tank. For those that can't see on the camera, the colours are, as far as SPS goes, probably some of the best I've seen in the country. I've seen a lot of really nice tanks. So you need to tell us all what your secrets are, what your methodology is, what your ethos is when it comes to reef keeping.
Very simple. Aqua400, very good water change, basically 100 litres a week.
Okay.
Must do it. Some people can go longer, but I can't. Lots of light, lots of flow, and I have a good fuge.
Yes.
So the fuge down there.
Now, you say lots of light, lots of flow. It's another thing that may not come up on camera so much is the amount of flow there, but you'll be able to tell us from, this is a 400 litre tank.
Yep.
And you've got two gyres. What size gyres are they?
55 to bar, so about 28,000 litres on each.
Yes.
Pulsed. Then there's two QB16s.
QB16s, yes. You've got those, you've got one up there and then the other one's...
It's back there.
Ah, it's hiding.
You have a look there.
Yeah.
And it's all purpose.
I see it too.
Just
to blow out there, great, yeah.
And then obviously the
MP60.
MP60.
Yeah, which is normally an MP60 is more the flow than someone would have on a 400 litre tank on its own. When you've added two guys and two more amounts on top of that.
Do you know that actually was sitting in here?
Yeah, wow.
The MP60 was in here. It was mounted right at the back.
You kept the water in the tank with the MP60 in there?
Most of the time.
Most of the time, wow.
Yeah.
Now, so that covers your flow, which is an exorbitant amount of flow. Obviously, you're bare bottom there because if you had sand, it would be it wouldn't be a sand-based tank. It would be a sand everywhere tank. You run a heap of light.
Yep.
Tell us about your lighting. It's a fairly unique combination.
Okay, so cheap lights, LEDs, and a Kessel. So 6:30 in the morning they're on, 10:30 they go off. 16 hours.
A 16-hour photo period. You've purely LED on an incredibly SPS dominated tank. And you say the Kessels are a relatively new addition?
These two are.
These two are,
So
yeah.
these two are, they've been for a while. But the only purpose was to light the corners.
Yes, yeah.
But I like the shimmer.
But for a good portion of the time, and during most of the time where this SPS is growing and colouring up, it's been running under the Mars Aqua LEDs?
Yeah, these are Viper Spire.
Okay.
The Mars has got a funny lens.
Right.
So if you look underneath, you see these are flat.
Yeah, okay, they are too. Yeah.
The Mars has got a ripple, and I don't like the ripple.
Yeah, fair enough. Wow. Well, it's clearly working. I mean, it's not just the growth and the colour combinations, but the variety of SPS species in here. I mean, we were going through some pointing out ones that you before, and you're telling us the name of them. Some of them I've never even heard of, and we're still kind of in argument as to what this one here that I say is Eki and everyone else says it's something else, which is fine. I'm happy to be wrong on that. So you've got some incredible variety of SPS in there that's growing. You've got a fairly basic filtration system in there, but when I say fairly basic, it's obviously it's clearly working. But for the fish load you have in this tank, being a 400 litre tank, got quite a lot of fish in there, and the tank is super active. Tell us how you're exporting that nutrient.
Two ways. So heater,
yes,
and then the skimmer. So the skimmer has to be big.
Yes.
Has to be on.
And that's a Reef Octopus?
It is.
Yeah.
So there is 6,000 litres going through there.
Okay.
And air is about 3,000 litres.
Right.
Lots of aminos.
Yes. That was your other secret that we mentioned.
Lots of
you run
aminos.
a lot of aminos.
Yeah.
And you're running quantum aminos on this tank?
That's right. Yeah. Basically that much.
Wow, okay.
Every 2 days.
Basically shot glass.
One for me. Yeah. And the other thing is the very simple ALK calcium dosed. The dosing is important. I dose 24 times a day.
Yeah, okay.
Every hour.
Yes.
Every half hour.
So very consistent dosing regime.
And colours. Red Sea colours.
Red Sea colours, yeah, okay. So that covers your trace, you got your alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. You've got your aminos.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing 100 litres, so a 25% water change a week for a large water change. You've got a fairly large nutrient export on it. Can you tell us about your favourite livestock here? You mentioned before what your favourite fish were.
Yep, it's a favourite fish is a regal.
Favourite fish, yeah.
Took me 2 weeks to get that one to feed.
And looking at the fins, they're a Red Sea regal?
No.
No.
Those are Pacific ones.
Ah, there we go.
Red Sea and SPS.
Okay, well, yeah, you don't want those ones in. Yeah,
No.
fair enough. How about your corals? I mean, you've got some.
Favorite coral?
Yeah, I mean, well, favorite dozen. You couldn't. Surely you couldn't pick one coral out of there. You must have.
There is. I really like this piece.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And that new edition is.
Yeah, the Fuego. We're all
Yeah.
losing our minds over. We weren't 100% certain on what the screen was, or you were.
Humi. I think it's a Humi.
Yeah, right. Which is one of those ones that I've never heard of before. Showing my SPS ignorance.
There's 4 Humis in here.
Okay.
I think there's one.
Yes.
There's one up there.
Okay. Yes.
There's one down here, and the one next to it is a Humi as well.
So they've got quite a rounded top on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one's been in for about 3 months. That one's been in for a year and a half since the tank started.
Which, well, that gives me an excellent segue into how long the tank's been running for. A year and a half now.
About a year and 5 months.
Year and 5 months. That's, I mean, most people would aim to get half of that colour and growth in a 5-year period, and you've got there in a year and a half. You did mention that a portion of this came out of this tank, which was originally your tank before.
Yep.
And the transition across, there was not many fatalities, or.
It was scary. I was here, my wife was there, we had a pan trying to hold him.
Yeah, right. Wow.
But this is all built afterwards. So that piece is built afterwards.
Yeah.
It's on a single stick.
Wow.
That piece is built afterwards. And these were added afterwards as well.
Quite a ambitious skate to pull off, particularly if that was added on after the tank was already running. Just used
Cable ties.
Cable ties, yeah, yep.
Do you think it's easy to tie a cable tie in there?
No, of course not.
They're small hands.
Yeah, right. Wow. Cable ties, unbelievable. And how do you find working on the tank now? I mean, with this amount of.
Like to. There's only one reason I work on it.
Yes.
To cut for frags.
Yes.
Or to clean up.
Sure.
To take algae out.
Sure. Yeah. Wow.
So lots of algae.
Well, you keep telling me that, but I can assure the viewers. I'm going to disagree with you. There's not heaps of algae. There's a couple of tiny patches. You say that you cover the algae or aptasia with coral, and it works because, I mean, I can see a tiny bit down here. I have not seen an aptasia, and I've taken probably 300 photos of the tank tonight with a macro lens, and I didn't spot a single tentacle of one. So
No, I can show
no,
you.
don't point about that. Don't point about it. I'll trust you. I mean, most established tanks have got a couple in there, but yeah. When you say there's heaps of algae, it makes my heart skip a beat because there is nothing other than neon colours in this tank. And I know when we look at our own tanks, it's easy to be critical, but you really need to be proud of this tank. Good. Yeah, don't focus on the algae because it is.
No. For me, the algae tells me that there's nutrient. That's the next other thing that's important. No nutrient, they go white.
Yes.
So they need nutrient to go colours. You
Yes.
want blue to get colours, white to get growth.
Definitely.
What else? What else can I say?
I was going to say, you did mention there with your lights, you do like to run a fairly heavy white spectrum.
Yep.
In fact, when we asked you to turn the blues on before you left the room,
Yep.
you know, like looking at the tank and the blues, our handy cameraman Evan today had trouble speaking English after seeing the tank in blue. He was pretty excited by it, but you didn't. I must admit, I'm not a huge blue hue fan, but interestingly, I found that probably about a third of the corals went ridiculously bright under blues. The rest I prefer under the white spectrum. You can see a lot more of the colours to my eyes, but I mean, I've got pretty thick glasses, so probably not the best judge on that.
Other than that, for me, it's a case of you have to break the rules.
Yeah.
So, try something.
Yeah.
So you will lose some. I'll lose a few.
Don't we all?
Too many ABCD colours.
Yes.
You'll lose them.
Yes.
Too heavy-handed on iron. I don't add iodine. I don't add potassium. I don't add anything. Just the colours.
Yes.
Very small amounts. I am trying this stuff, which is pretty good.
Yep.
But do I see a difference between it and the Red Sea? Probably not.
Sure.
They're the same.
And you did mention before that you've never done an ICP test
No.
on this tank, and you haven't tested your nitrate for 3 months, but last time you thought it was around 0.7.
0.7.
Um,
Yeah. And phosphate is 0.01.
0.01, yeah. So,
I
I mean,
tried.
that's a fairly low nutrient system, particularly with that level of fish.
Yeah.
That's quite
But
impressive.
remember, you've got so many corals.
Yes.
All those corals are
Consuming.
consuming nitrate.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's actually easier to keep a tank with a lot of corals
Yes.
than few corals.
Yeah, excellent point.
Because the more you have, the more balanced it is.
And one other thing before I let you enjoy your Tuesday evening with your family. So many corals in such a tight space. You mentioned before you've got a pretty good technique for trimming them so
Yep.
that they build up a bit of a wall and
Yep.
that they grow around each other.
So the reason you want them to get the wall is so that they stick. One of the issues I have when you cut, if you look underneath,
Yes.
can you see it's floating? So if
Yes.
you cut that and they haven't stuck together, you know what happens?
Right,
It
right.
collapses.
Okay.
So you actually need them to stick together,
Yeah, right.
especially on here. So I leave them stick and then I cut.
Right, right. So they're actually, yeah, you can see a few parts here where
They actually must stick. They
they're
must
sticking
bond.
together. Yeah, right, right.
Otherwise you get this and it's a bit wobbly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I can't do much more than congratulate you on
Thank you.
one of, if not the best reef tank I've seen in Australia.
Oh, thank you.
So it's been an absolute pleasure to come and meet you and see your tank, and thank you very much for having us.
Cheers. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.